Allosaurus Rider, alright, it's a 4/4. My opponent exiled 2 cards to cast it. So 4 cards now, and I have a Force of Negation with a blue peach. Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. This is MahfuzVanGogh, your Dredge guy. And today we are back to Modern, and we are trying a new concept. This is incredibly late for me. Usually I should be sleeping by now. It's almost midnight here. But I really want to test this new concept. A blue Dredge deck in Modern, including this new card, Winternight Stories. This is an interesting card because you can draw 3 and discard 1 or 2 cards according to what you need to keep in your hand or what you think you need to discard. And this has Harmonize. And I would like to create, this is a new creation. I have 0 testing with this deck here. Actually, I was thinking 5 minutes ago, I was thinking about how to improve something here. This swamp is an afterthought, for example. I think since we are going to play only 2 colors like blue and black, we should have at least one basic, because aggressive decks are everywhere. Prowess decks, creature decks, Zoo decks are everywhere, it seems so. So it's important sometimes to save 2 points of life. And my idea here is to have a dedicated sideboard to control. So we have 6 counterspells for Force of Negation and 2 copies of Consign to Memory, 2 bounce spells in the sideboard and 2 bounce spells in the main deck, like Sink into Stupor. It is a land and it is a bounce spell, an expensive one, but Modern is sometimes not so fast compared to Legacy and Vintage, so I think this will probably be okay. This card even sees play in Legacy. And 4 discard spells in Thoughtseize and even Harbinger of the Seas, since we have access to a basic swamp. I think this will be interesting to test in our deck, but this is just a theory. Theoretically, I think this card can be an interesting surprise against several greedy opponents in Modern, including other Dredge players maybe. So Psychic Frog is an amazing card. This is a Dredge card in disguise. People think this is just a value card to play in tempo or control decks. But I say this is a Dredge card, a slower Dredge card compared to Cathartic Reunion, which is one of our best turn 2 enablers of all time. But considering that we don't want to be that fast with this deck, we have tools to slow down the game a little bit after sideboarding. And Psychic Frog is an immensely good way to activate a Winternight Stories on turn 3 for just 1 mana. Let me explain my thoughts here. My goal with this new deck, at least today, this is the first version of Modern Blue Dredge for me. My goal here in this league, I'm super excited to play it. My goal is to evaluate this card. How many cards should we play in a dedicated Blue Dredge in Modern? I'm not sure about the rest of the deck. Maybe in the future I will not play Psychic Frogs anymore. Maybe we don't want ghouls. Maybe we want to include green and have Life from the Loan, or maybe a little bit of red. I'm not sure. This is just a test, guys. And to test Winternight Stories in a Blue Dredge deck, I think we should keep the best cards to facilitate the use of this card and on turns 2 and 3. And to have Winternight Stories on turn 2, by turn 2, we need to have 1 creature with power 3 in play. Our options are Prized Amalgam and Silversmith Ghoul if we have a turn 1 Thumbscour revealing Narcomoeba plus Amalgam, or a turn 1 Thumbscour revealing Ghoul plus Creeping Show. We have 2 possibilities here if you have Thumbscour. It should happen sometimes. And sometimes we will also have a Winternight Stories in our graveyard on turn 2. So we have turn 1 Thumbscour, turn 2 Winternight Stories if we have this synergy active in our graveyard. If we don't, we have Psychic Frog, and Psychic Frog usually when it hits the table, it will discard at least 3 cards from our hand, because it is a discard outlet, and on turn 3, or Winternight Stories, maybe it was in our hand and we discarded Stories with Psychic Frog, and then we can cast Winternight Stories for a single mana, and with 2 other lands, maybe we are cracking Cephalic Coliseums, or maybe we are casting Otherworldly Gaze with Flashback, I don't know. But this is a great value, and sometimes you are just holding Dark Blast to kill an opponent's threat. We have a basic swamp, we have 2 Water Graves, and we have Undercity Silver, so 4 lands that add black mana, plus 8 fetch lands. So if we consider our Otherworldly Gazes and draw spells, draw effects, this should be fine. But this is a test. Let's see. Wonder sometimes does wonders in a deck like this because all of our zombies will have flying. And because now we have this mini breakthrough in our deck in Winternight Stories, I think we should find wonder a right amount of time. And this is my new concept, guys. Winternight Stories maybe is useful in other builds as well, but this will be my first time playing this card. It promises to be really good in this build, but let's see. Click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And if I'm sounding sometimes a little bit sleepy, it's because it is actually really late, but I couldn't sleep before testing this. So I will go to bed just after playing this Modern League. Let's do it right now. I want to say thank you to all my patrons that you can see here on this page. Guys, you are awesome, and I can create content because of your continuous support. If you also want to help me as a content creator, please go there, check my Patreon page, patreon.com/thedredgeguy. See you there. All right, round 1, and we are on the play against Giorepe. I think I'll keep this hand. We are on the play, we have a turn 2 frog. We don't have dredgers yet, but this is a slower build, and we have 3 lands, we have Winternight Stories here. We have our combo, or sort of. Okay, Creeping Chill can be put into our graveyard. So if we hit a dredger, this hand is really good. If we don't, we'll probably hit a dredger with Winternight Stories. Let's see what our opponent is playing. Okay, this is an artifact deck, so this is Affinity, Mishra's Bubble, Oxopo, okay. And I think I'll just press F6 here just to show to our opponents that we don't have nothing. We have nothing on game 1. Okay, so let's cast Psychic Frog. My opponent has no Metallic Rebuke active. They have only 1 mana and 1 untapped artifact. Let's grab our basic here, maybe, just to protect our life total. We probably don't need more than 1 black mana against this opponent. Okay, Psychic Frog hits the table, and we'll pass the turn. My opponent draws, and... okay, Seachrome Coast. Tamio, okay, Tamio is fine. 4 more cards in their hand. Okay, Thoughtcast. Tamio flips immediately. We can easily kill Tamio if we need to do, but we probably don't need to kill Tamio here if my Psychic Frog leaves, because we want to hit our dredgers, right? So let's see, we'll draw first and then we'll decide, because we can discard 4 cards from our hand, as predicted. So okay, a dredger, even better. So how to maximize this? We can cast Winternight Stories and Craxified Coliseum in the same turn, right? I discard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 6. I draw first. Yeah. This is what I was thinking about when creating this new deck. Yeah, I think it will work. So, okay, this is my first time doing that. So let's pay attention to not do anything wrong. No misclicks. We discard our dredger. Now discard our goal. My opponent has stepped out, so it will work. Unless they have Force of Negation, but I don't think Affinity decks has Force of Negation, at least in the main deck. And now we'll discard you. We don't even need to discard our Winternight Stories right now, right? Or second copy. We can wait and just pay there. Let's keep Cephalic Coliseum in play in case we need to flip it immediately. And we'll pay just a single blue mana to draw 3. We'll dredge 5. Okay, we couldn't hit our other dredgers, but now we have. Let's discard a single creature here, because we can activate Psychic Frog for extra counters. Now we have 2 ghouls, 1 amalgam, 1 creeping chill with this on the stack. It doesn't need to be on the stack, but why not? Let's dredge 5. Another amalgam is great. Dredge 5. We want an Arcomoeba, right? 1 Arcomoeba, great. And now we discard our dredgers. We can repeat that in the next turn. So we can mill our entire deck in the next turn if we need to. But I believe this Psychic Frog will probably be an attacker, because we will have more than lethal next turn. My opponent needs to have some great spell. My opponent is playing slow. They have only a Tamio. Tamio can recast a Thoughtcast to draw more cards, but my opponent probably needs to remove several creatures to have a chance to win here. Tamio needs to plus to take to put -1, -0 in each creature when attacking, but my opponent needs at least 3 removal spells here, I guess. Psychic Frog can be 9, 10 in the next turn. With flying. So my opponent has a Mishra's Bubble. Portable Hole is a nice begin. So bye-bye Frog. Do I want to discard here? I guess so, because I don't intend to draw a 3rd land this game. We had 3 lands, but I activated Coliseum. Okay, my opponent needs more than that. This is not lethal because of Tamio. This is 10 points of life, 10 points of damage. Okay, my opponent casts a second Thoughtcast. They play basic island. Now representing... Okay, Tamio goes up. Tamio goes up, and now my opponent is representing Metallic Rebuke. No? Oh, another Thoughtcast. 3 copies. They still have an active Metallic Rebuke if they're playing that card. Okay, now they are not representing any counterspell, I guess. Oh, now they are representing again. Okay. 4 cards in their hand. Maybe... yeah. Let's try to be smart here and take Dark Blast instead of Stinkweed Imp. So we can kill my opponent's Tamio when they block one of our zombies. Let's see. If I attack Tamio here, I can attack Tamio with everyone. But if I do that, my opponent will not block because Tamio will die anyways, and then my opponent maybe has ways to draw extra cards and they will just have another Tamio. So no, what we want to do here is attacking my opponent. So let's come back, zombies. Let's attack Gio. Giorepe for me sounds like a Giuseppe. And now we are attacking to deal 10 damage. My opponent will block, of course. There's no point on attacking with Narcomoeba because it will be a 0-1. Well, maybe my opponent decides not to block. Maybe they are paying attention. They know that we have a Dark Blast in our hand. Okay, Tamio is blocking. That's great. Let's yield until the end of our turn and trying to kill Tamio. If my opponent has Metallic Rebuke, that's fine. Oh, they are thinking. Okay, they will counter our Dark Blast. That's okay. We tried. We still have lethal for next turn, and my opponent has one less card in their hand. Because it would be that or casting a Winternight Stories. And since I was fearing a Metallic Rebuke since the beginning of this game, my opponent did draw so many cards. 6 extra cards, right? So they should have a Metallic Rebuke. That Mox Opal being played on the previous turn, for me, it was a clear sign of a Metallic Rebuke. Okay, my opponent has another Mox, Amber now. Tamio goes up. And now we need to win this turn, or at least attack Tamio if we need to. Okay, either Spellbomb. My opponent has only 1 card in their hand. So land, Mox, Spellbomb, what else? Oh, they are tapping artifacts. They have the giant turtle. Kappa Cannoneer is here. But we are on a healthy 25 life. We are not fearing Kappa Cannoneer. Oh, we need to find Anger. We need to find Wander now to give flying to our zombies. Kappa can't fly. So let's see if we can find Wander. My opponent has 0 cards in their hands. So, oh, okay, we already have a Wander there. And Creeping Chill, so my opponent is down to 3. My opponent is completely dead here. Guys, this was so far a great way to begin this league. Yes, of course, I will say yes to Creeping Chill. We had on this first game everything we were thinking of playing this new deck, right? We have a basic island, a surveil land, we have flying zombies, we had a turn 3 Winternight Stories paying only 1 blue mana, and a giant psychic frog. Okay, now what? Do I want Harbinger of the Seas? My opponent has several white cards in their deck, but not many planes, I guess. We are on the draw now, so I don't think Thoughtseize is incredibly good, but Force of Negation maybe? Because if my opponent has a turn 1 Soulguide Lantern, or a turn 1 Tormod Script, or turn 1 any Ghost Vacuum, I don't know, any card against us, Force of Negation can... Okay, let's see what we will grab from our main deck to side out. Winternight Stories, I think 1 copy being on the draw against this deck, that's okay. To include 3 Harbinger. Maybe it's not a good card, but I want to test this card so badly. I really want to test this card. And it will be my first time playing this in Modern. I tried briefly to play Harbinger of the Seas in Blue Dredge in Legacy. Turns out it is too slow to be played in Legacy, but maybe in Modern. I think I would just include this without any counter spells here. Consign to Memory could be good if we have a game 3. But I don't think I will include Consign to Memory on game 2 being on the draw. And Force of Negation is interesting, but maybe you don't need it. I'm a believer in Harbinger because I'm noticing that let's see this hand. Okay, not perfect, but I think it's fine, right? We have lands and spells and enablers. As I was saying, I see in Modern this play pattern of turn 2 Urza Saga, not a turn 1. Even if my opponent has a Urza Saga, sometimes they just play on turn 2. They prefer to start with Tamio and then a turn 2 Urza Saga because there are not... Okay, another Scour. Let's start with Tom Scour. Maybe we can hit a power 3 creature here. Okay, not that lucky, but Stink with Imp is fine, and also Wonder. So sometimes I see in Modern that players don't start with Urza Saga to fetch Graveyard Hate artifact on turn 3, because they want to have maximum value from Urza Saga. So they want to tap Urza Saga to create constructs. And because of that, sometimes we have time to cast turn 3 Harbinger of the Seas. That's my theory. But now my opponent has Emery here. And if they hit, okay, not a great graveyard yet. We have a bounce spell here, but this bounce will probably be a land. My opponent still has 3 cards in their hand. They are not representing anything. Mishra's Bubble is being cracked. So they kept this hand because they had a turn 1 Tamio, turn 2 Emery. So let's Dredge 5. Oh, we don't have other Dredgers. I think we need to cast Thumbscour here. And then Otherworldly Gaze. Maybe we'll have a great turn 3. Okay, now we have another Dredger and Winternight Stories. We need to mill 1 Arcomoeba now. Okay, not such luck. Do I keep another land on top? Do I keep Water Grave here? Let's keep it, just in case. You never know what your opponent can have. Maybe they top deck Soul Guide Lantern, and we need to rebuild our thing from 0, and then cast Otherworldly Gaze and recast it on the same turn is a way to rebuild our graveyard. Okay, my opponent activates Tamio. They want mana. This Mox Opal is active. My opponent has 3 artifacts. Attacks with Tamio, 4 now. Can they flip Tamio? They can, yes. So Tamio flips. And Mox Ember. Oh, Thought Monitor, alright. 2-2, draw 2. Good card. Mishra's Bubble. 5 cards in their hand. What else? They didn't activate Tamio yet. A second Tamio. Okay, Tamio goes up. And that's it. Now we have a Water Grave on top. Considering that we are behind, we have 2 Dredgers there. Let's draw our land. My opponent wants to see what's on top of our deck. That's pointless in my opinion. Now we will play Water Grave. And now we will Dredge 3. Dredge 5. Dredge 5. We don't need Dark Blast, so Dredge 5 again. And we will discard Go and 2 Imps. With those triggers on the stack, let's cast Otherworldly Gaze. Oh, have a Harbinger there, but a little too late, right? We don't have 3 mana. So let's put everything into our graveyard. Okay, and this was a slower start compared to our game 1, but we are still in the game. My opponent also had a slow start, drawing several cards, but Emery didn't see that much value in the graveyard yet. And we'll have several creatures. We have Wonder in our graveyard, so everyone flies. Oh, we have 3 Narcomoebas here, so we can even block Tamio or Thought Monitor. I don't want to block Thought Monitor to kill one, I mean, because this represents so much value with Emery. But we could block Tamio with 3 Narcomoebas. My opponent dispatches one of our Amalgams. Oh no, one of our Ghouls, I see. And now they used Tamio's ability to have a second cast of the same spell. But because of that, our creatures will not have -1/-0 in the next turn. Let's keep that in mind. My opponent plays Island. They have 4 cards in their hand. They tap Emery to get Mishra's Bubble back. And Portable Hole, several white removal spells as expected. But because of Mox Opal and Mox Ember, maybe Harbinger is actually not that useful in this matchup. But I wanted to try, right? It is not a great card after all, because of course my opponent has several Mox. Now what? There's more? My opponent is stepping artifacts, so maybe is the giant turtle again. Yeah. And now this is scarier than before because we are on 16 life. My opponent will not attack. They want to protect Tamio. Now what? We'll Dredge 5. 2 chills. What is the sound of a creeping chill? And now we still have 1 chill. We still have 1 chill somewhere. So if we attack here, my opponent will go down to 5. It's so late, guys. I never record videos at this time of the night. Maybe I should prepare a coffee for me to game 2. Hopefully I'm not doing many punts here. So let's attack with everyone on my opponent. Even Arcomoebas have power here. Let's see if my opponent wants to block Press Amalgam with Tamio. Oh, they will block the Narcos, so they will go down to 2 life. So let's cast Otherworldly Gaze. Narcomoeba is fine. Another attacker for next turn. We are up to 22 life, so we can take 1 or 2 hits from Kappa Cannoneer, that's okay. Do I keep anything here? Do I keep the basic swamp? I don't think so. And now we pass the turn. My opponent has 3 cards in their hand. They can crack some clues to draw extra cards. Oh, they didn't crack Mishra's Bubble. I wonder why. They don't want to flip the second Tameo, maybe? Because if my opponent didn't crack their bubble, it's because they think they don't need more resources to win this game, so that's scary. Now they have Urza Saga. So actually, Harbinger may be a good card from the sideboard, but maybe it is better being on the play. I'm talking about possibilities here because this is a new deck for me, not only for you, especially for me. I know this is my creation, but I'm sharing with you my first gameplay with this deck. Okay, my opponent is thinking a lot here. Maybe it isn't an easy decision. Emery taps, getting Portable Hole, so my opponent wants to remove more zombies. Is Herc's Recall a good card in Modern? Because with that many Portable Holes and clue tokens, is this a good card in Modern now because of Affinity decks? We could cast Herc's Recall on my opponent's end step, get our creatures back, and attack. Kappa attacks, dealing only 6 damage. That's fine. We can take that. But Portable Hole cannot exile Prized Amalgams, only Narcomoebas. So maybe not. We don't need Recall to win against Affinity. That Urza Saga will pop in 2 turns, so we need to win now. Okay, we have Creeping Chill. For the win! And since I knew about Creeping Chill, a Creeping Chill left in our deck, we had Stinkweed Imp here being dredged, plus Otherworldly Gaze trying to hit our last Creeping Chill to win the game instantly. And we won our first match. It feels good to play a blue dredge deck in Modern. It's a first for me. Let's keep going. Round 2, we are on the play. Okay, we have a hand with several lands. We have a Surveil land here. I think this is a mulligan. We can do better. This is really tempting. I think I'll keep it. As soon as we find a Dredger, 2 Winternight Stories plus Cephalic Coliseum is a reliable sequence for our deck. Let's start with Misty Rainforest and pass. According to what we see, this can be a Surveil land, just to have more value if we are fighting a slow opponent. Or maybe we just cast Otherworldly Gaze. Oh, Mishra's Bubble. Is this a rematch? Another Affinity, maybe? My opponent cracks Mishra's Bubble immediately. Polluted Delta, so probably no Affinity. So let's crack Misty here for our Undercity Sewers. It seems to be a slower matchup. Oh, Narcomoeba. A free 1-1. Not the best tempo play, but free flyers are free flyers. Now Otherworldly Gaze on our upkeep. It is resolving. Let's skip 1 Tom Scour. My opponent draws a card. We play Water Grave, untapped. And Tom Scour targeting us. Resolving. Okay, now we have Ghoul, Narcomoeba, Creeping Chill, Prized Amalgam. We have a little bit of everything. So at the end of this turn, we will have 6, 7, 8 power in play. And on turn 3, we can choose what to do. Let's see what our opponent is playing first. Water Grave, untapped. Okay. Consider. You can consider, my friend. Oh, my opponent is playing Psychic Frogs. So, black, blue, temple. Blue-black temple. Verdant Catacombs. Cracking it. Oh, is my opponent maybe a Death Shadow deck? They are dealing so much damage to themselves. Yeah, Death Shadow, yeah. So my opponent is down to 10, and we'll dredge 5. Okay, let's keep attention here. If we reveal Wonder, let's crack Cephalic Coliseum first. If we reveal Wonder here, we can maybe even win on this turn. No Wonder, no other chill. Let's discard 1 Winternight Stories, keep 1 Dark Blast just in case. Winternight needs 2 mana. I chose Coliseum instead of Winternight because this seems to be a deck with counterspells, and we never know if our opponent will have Force of Negation in the main deck. Usually I don't expect forces in the main deck, but I'm not catching up all the nuances of every modern deck at the moment. So maybe sometimes Death Shadow has also Force of Negation in the main deck. You'll never know. So I'm not sure if I will even attack, maybe only with our Narcomoebas here. Yeah, we don't need to attack because we will not put our opponent into lethal damage this turn. And it's probably wiser to just hold our creatures back a little bit more to have a lethal attack as soon as we find our Wonder. We have so many good tools to find Wonder. We have more creatures waiting to come back. 1 Amalgam, 1 Ghoul. And since we have Creeping Chill, maybe my opponent will not attack also because we have 8 power in play. Okay, they chose a Surveil land. Wise choice. They kept the card on top, scary. And a Psychic Frog. The best frog in the whole world. And this is the opposite of our deck. Our deck, when we have a Psychic Frog, we usually have 3 or 4 cards to be discarded. My opponent probably doesn't have the same thing, so this is something to keep in mind. I will not do that now, of course. I will cast our Winternight Stories, tapping go. Let's see if this resolves. But sometimes targeting, okay, let's see. Dredge 5, Dredge 5. Akomiba is great. We have another Amalgam there. Chill is also great. And more Dredgers. We are dredging 3 times. Now we have only 8 cards in our graveyard. Let's discard only 1 card because we have only 8 cards in our graveyard. We don't need to put everything there. As I was saying, I just thought about that. Since we have Dark Blasts, at some moment we can maybe target price of a Psychic Frog, block with 2 Narcomoeba, something like that, and then target Dark Blast just to force my opponent to discard an extra card. This is something maybe useful. Not against us, but maybe in some scenarios. I'm just being theoretical here again. Okay, now my opponent is down to 7, and we have Wonder finally. But again, we don't have lethal, and now my opponent has a Psychic Frog. We have so many creatures. I will attack with Amalgam because Amalgam will come back anyways. So if my opponent, my opponent doesn't want to discard, you see? They could block with Psychic Frog, but my opponent doesn't want to. They probably have good tools in their hand. And now I have 4 Narcomoebas, and they are great flyers. We won. Okay, let's sideboard. And now what? Against Shadow. I don't think I want to include Thoughtseize against any opponent on the draw unless it is a combo deck. Stern Dismissals are interesting. Maybe we could include some bounce spells. Maybe we don't need much to win this. I don't think Harbinger is useful here. Force of Negation, maybe. If my opponent has artifact hate, graveyard hate in form of artifacts, maybe Consign to Memory in game tree if we have a game tree. Maybe Consign to Memory plus Force. But now, the thing is, I know my opponent plays Thoughtseize, so including too much against them, I don't want to mulligan aggressively just to have an answer in my starting hand. So if I include Force of Negation here, I'll probably do that. 1 less Stories, 1 less Dark Blast, 1 less Go, and 1 less Psychic Frog. Our frogs are good, but probably too slow against a deck that will have Fatal Pushes and other removals. Okay, that's not the best keep in the world, but it is close to it, because we have a turn 1 Scour, turn 2 Frog, turn 3 Winternight Stories, guaranteed. My opponent has Mishra's Bubble, cracking it. Polluted Delta, Mishra's Bubble, second one. Okay, my opponent is holding mana. We have Otherworldly Gaze here. I think we will start with our better, stronger option, which is Thumb Scour. Is it correct to grab a basic here? I think I want to keep my options open. At least now we have another fetch land for turn 2. So Thumb Scour it is. It resolves, we have a Dredger. My opponent cracks Bubble and cracks Delta. Surveil land on top. Alright. An extra draw. Flooded Strand cracks it. Watery Grave. Okay, my opponent has Spell Bombs. So if we have a game tree, we know what to do. Let's dredge until my opponent cracks this Spell Bomb. Okay. Nothing great there. Let's play Watery Grave untapped and play Psychic Frog. Can Psychic Frog win the game for us? It hits the table, yes or no? Okay, it's there. Ribbit. And we'll pass a turn. My opponent is... Okay, my opponent will kill it immediately. So let's discard Thug. As expected, my opponent has Fatal Pushes even after sideboarding. And now my opponent plays an untapped land paying 3 life, plays a Psychic Frog, and it's holding... My opponent is holding something, of course. We'll dredge. They have 3 cards in their hand. How can I tempt my opponent to crack that Spell Bomb? Oh, guys, now I see that I did something wrong. Oh, yeah, sure. We don't have untapped. I wanted a swamp here, but this was a deck building mistake. And this is what happens with us when we create a new deck at midnight. I thought about including a basic swamp as an afterthought before recording the start of this league, but I didn't change... Okay, let's cast Otherworldly Gaze here. I didn't change my fetch lands. I should play the full play set of... Let's put everything here. Do I keep Thumb Scour? I don't think so. This Narcomoeba is probably not a great card for our opponent. We don't have Amalgams in our graveyard. As I was saying, I should have the full play set of Polluted Deltas, but I think I have only 2, maybe 3. I think 2. I think I had 2 fetches of each blue fetch, because before I had 2 basic islands. but then I exchanged one island for a basic swamp and couldn't remember about what I should do instead. Okay, my opponent is attacking with Frog. I think I'll block. I don't want my opponent to draw extra cards. I can even cast Dark Blast here just to force them to discard something. Yeah, so I don't think this will cost us the game or anything, but last turn I thought about casting Winternight Stories and or maybe having the possibility of have Dark Blast plus casting Otherworldly Gaze, but I couldn't do that. Okay, my opponent decided to crack a Spell Bomb. I'm not sure if this is the best moment to do that, because now it's our turn and we can maybe come back after that. Let's cast Winternight Stories here. My opponent might have a counter spell, but if they have a Spell Snare, it will not counter that. Oh, Force of Negation. Exiling Spell Snare. All right. Yeah, guys, now I think the game is probably over. My opponent will win with that Frog, unless we hit something amazing next turn. I believe we have 2 turns to draw something good. My opponent draws with Frog without discarding anything, and they play Bubble, and a second Frog. Yeah, and we don't play Fatal Pushes in our decks, so yeah, Wonder will not do much here. Let's concede and go to game 3. On game 3, now we know what to do. My opponent has Spell Bombs, so I don't want Force of Negation anymore. Consign to Memory is good, and Thoughtseize is also good against what my opponent is doing. I need to take 2 more cards from my deck. Maybe Wonder. We didn't see that many creatures, quantity I mean. My opponent is playing, after sideboarding, my opponent is playing this match as a control deck. We didn't see Netherglyphs or Death Shadow, so my opponent probably don't have many creatures compared to game 1. Do I keep Frogs? I think I'll just try with 1 less mana. Maybe this is a mistake, but I don't know what else to cut from my deck. I like everything. I don't want to take 1 extra Dredger. I think it's important to have every Dredger. Is this a keep? I'll keep that only because I'm on the play. But this is not great. We have 2. The thing is, this is a mulligan to 5. We have Creeping Chill and Narcomoeba in our hand. But starting the game with 2 lands, since I chose to cut 1, and 2 blue enablers, this can lead us to a win. But maybe this was just a mistake, guys, and I'm sleeping here. But I want to play before I get my sleep. Oh, my opponent will force my Thumb Scour. My opponent kept 7 cards, and they had a Force of Negation. Now they have a Watery Grave and untapped. Okay, so they might have Fatal Push or Spell Snare. Mystical Dispute. Okay, my opponent is definitely playing this as a Control Magician now. We'll draw another Otherworldly Gaze. Great. I was already thinking on cracking this for Undercity Sewers, but now that we have a second Otherworldly Gaze and my opponent is tapped, let's grab the basic island here and tap. Okay, is Thoughtseize any good here? Or the 3rd land? At this point, going to turn 3, do I still want a Thoughtseize in this matchup? I don't think so. But I could include the 3rd land. I think the 3rd land will be probably important. This is a slower start, but my opponent had Force of Negation plus Mystical Dispute. Okay, my opponent pays 3 life and casts Consider. They don't want Spell Snare anymore, alright? And now they have another Netherglyph, alright? So we'll draw our land. Let's play it, cracking it, for Undercity Sewers. Revealing a Dredger, come on. A goal. Okay, goals are good. It seems my opponent kept a hand with counterspells, but with no spell bombs. Okay, Narcomoeba is good. We have Amalgam there. And now we have a Dredger. And we have Otherworldly Gaze, 2 gazes, 3 lands. We'll have some power in play. My opponent has a single 1/2. They need to put more cards in their own graveyard. Consider is a good start to do that. Oh, paying 3 more life. It seems they... Okay, Psychic Frog is there, but only 2 cards in their hand. It seems my opponent maybe didn't have lands. They are using the Springs as lands. Let's cast Otherworldly Gaze in our upkeep. Maybe we reveal... okay, no. We could reveal here Cephalic Coliseum. So what? Nothing is really important here. It's better to just dredge 4. Nothing good in our dredging. We are giving time to our opponent. Maybe this hand wasn't a keep at all. But it was a good hand against counterspells. We had a chance to come back because of combination of Otherworldly Gaze plus turn 1 must counterspell, at least in my opponent's opinion. My opponent chose to cast Fatal Push on our Narcomoeba, and now they attack us with Psychic Frog, and Psychic Frog has Flying. Alright. My opponent has only 1 card in their hand. Maybe, they don't have much. Now they have 2. Cracks Polluted Delta down to 11. Watergrave down to 9. And Death Shadow. Alright, my opponent has Shadow after all. So let's cast Otherworldly Gaze again. My opponent has only one card in their hand. Consign to Memory. Do we keep that? Again, at this point of the game, I don't think we keep anything that isn't an enabler. So Dredge 5, Creeping Chill finally. My opponent is drained to 6. We don't have Wonder in our deck anymore, right? So, but we have creatures. We have Lethal next turn. My opponent needs to respect on our board. We have 12 power in play next turn. We have 1 Amalgam to enter the battlefield at the end of this turn. The interesting thing about this game is that we sideboarded several cards in. We couldn't find them, so our deck is diluted. Our deck is like watered down. But we are still having a good fight here. Psychic Frog attacks with flying, but without discarding cards again, just to draw an extra card. Of course, we are helped by our own opponent, because they are playing so many untapped lands, paying 2 life, 3 life. Now what? Dredge 4. Another Gaze. If we attack here to deal 3 damage, we could sacrifice 1 gold to draw 1 extra card, and then Dredge again. We could cast Liquid Imp as a blocker, or Otherworldly Gaze. Let's attack with everyone. My opponent kept Nethergoyf as a blocker. Okay, 2 of them are blocking Amalgams. That Shadow blocks Go. So let's sacrifice this Go in response. And I'll Dredge 4. Creeping Chill is there. My opponent needs to remove Go from the table right now. They will cycle Street Wraith in response. If they have pushes, they can't remove Go with 1 Fatal Push. They need to do something. Oh, my opponent is giving me the GGs. Oh, my opponent is being ironic here with me, saying that my deck is stupid. And I won as with a skill. I will not respond to that. We are in the middle of the night and people can be mean. But after recording this and editing, I will put here somewhere. So here maybe, in this diagonal, I'll put the beautiful chat that my opponent had with me. It seems they gave us the GGs, but they will not concede. I don't understand. Let's see. Yeah, it seems like a rage quitting. My opponent did quit the game, but the game is still rolling. In my new Discord, server, I have a special channel just to put salty opponents, salty chats with salty opponents. This will be probably my first post. Okay, so minutes after that, and my opponent concedes. Only 3 minutes of rage quitting. Nothing more than that. We are 2-0 with our new deck. Let's go to our third match. Okay, round 3. I think this is a mulligan. Oh, this can be so good. We are on the draw. Let's see if we are really lucky, as my previous opponent said. We have 1 Surveil land in our deck, and we are on the draw. So we'll see 3 cards. We need to have 1 extra land. And so this hand is amazing if we have 1 extra land. My opponent started with Tamio and Mishra's Bubble. It's our 3rd deck in a row with that card, but it is a different deck, hopefully. We have a Dredger here that we can cast, but we know that we cannot win a game, usually, a normal game of Magic, with a single land. We need at least 2 lands to win. So my opponent cracks Bubble. They saw the top of our deck. We didn't. My opponent attacks us with Tamio, gains a Clue token, and Urza Saga draws the token, so they will flip Tamio immediately. Maybe this is the same deck, the same Affinity deck, maybe? Maybe a different build. Let's grab our Undercity Sewers. We need a land. Creeping Chill is not a land. It is good, but not a land. And now we'll draw a land. Come on. Ha! We were lucky, indeed. Now what? Usually I say don't keep hands like that, but we're testing our deck and it's really late. I just want to have a good time with you here. Now we have a Psychic Frog, Ribbit, and we have our little combo here. Psychic Frog on turn 2, Winternight Stories on turn 3, plus Tom's Cower in this case, because we have only 2 lands. Winternight Stories, in my opinion, is only a great card if we can reliably cast it paying 1 mana. Not 2, not 3, 1. If we at least half of the time can cast Winternight Stories paying a single mana. Oh, now my opponent has Portable Hold. Alright, let's see if we can come back from this. I will discard my Dredgers, of course, and my Go. My Go and my Dark Blast, but I think I will keep Winternight Stories in. We have 2 lands. Do I discard Stories? Let's discard Stories. because as soon we have a 3-power creature in play, we can cast Winternight Stories paying 2 mana after all. So our frog is exiled, unfortunately, and now my opponent has a spell bomb and 3 more cards in their hand. Oh, there's more. A second Tameo, and my opponent opted to cast Tameo instead of creating a construct. Alright, so we'll Dredge. Dredge 5. Nothing that good there. Let's cast some Scour here. Creeping Chill, we have 1 Ghoul, so we'll have a 3-1 after our turn. This is not enough to win the game. My opponent's Tameo is going up. They have a Spell Bomb. Urza Saga will search for something. My opponent's Saga will create a construct before dying. Okay, my opponent chose Tormod's Script. And yeah, guys, we will not win this. Definitely. Let's go to game 2, I think. Let's see what we have on top. Let's see my opponent's behavior. Let's see what they do. They want to crack Tormod's Script immediately, or they will hold Crypt. They play Lava Spore Boots. Okay, they crack immediately. Good to know. Let's concede. We have no chance. One way of the other, we would not have chances to win this game anymore. Now what? Okay, this time we lost our game 1. Consign to Memory is good being on the play. I think should I play like a true control deck here, including almost everything? Let's see. This is my first time being on the play against an artifacted deck. We need to win. We can take a little bit of everything. Maybe Dark Blasts are not so good after all. We can take Wonder from our deck. It is expendable. We'll include Harbingers. This is a difficult matchup anyway, so I want to test a completely different way to sideboard. 1 Frog, 1 Ghoul. Do I include 4 copies of Thoughtseizes? Yeah, let's include 9 cards. And if we have a game 3, I would probably exchange Thoughtseizes for Forces of Negation and maybe something else. But being on the play, I think having Thoughtseize, Consigns, and Harbinger will put us a little bit ahead. Okay, Thoughtseize on turn 1, turn 2 Frog, turn 3 Harbinger. If we hit a 3rd land, let's skip this. This hand is delicious. This is a delicious hand against what my opponent is doing. And if they have a Soul Guide Lantern or something, we can just Frog above it. Okay, Thoughtseize targeting you. Oh, my opponent's hand is not that good. They have Tormod's Script and Tameo and Bubble, but not too much. Yeah, guys. Sometimes opponents will do that in every format, right? Sometimes opponents playing against Dredge will keep not that great hands, but with okay, Bubble, Tameo, and Fountain. Okay, but with Graveyard Haze. Now we have a turn 2 Frog. My opponent doesn't have 3 artifacts yet, so Frog will leave to tell this story. Frog will leave. And you see that I chose a basic swamp, right? Because I have a Harbinger. And if we deploy this Harbinger of the Seas, we probably don't... Oh, my opponent is attacking with Tameo? Okay, let's discard cards and make this Frog flies, right? My opponent has a Dispatch there. So if I exile some cards, my opponent will probably cast Dispatch just to tap our Frog. For me, it's fine. It's completely fine. If my opponent just casts this now, instead of exiling my feature creatures, we're fine. My opponent has 2 unknown cards in their hand. They need lands. And we took their Graveyard Hate. Yeah, as expected, my opponent is casting Dispatch on Frog. Now a sad Ribbit. And now it's our turn. My opponent couldn't find a second land yet. Let's discard our Dredgers. I think since we are ahead, we have a Frog. Let's do our best or stronger play, I mean. Narcomoeba, Amalgam, and Go. We only need 1 Creeping Chill. We have some power in play. We have 1 Tom Scour. We can discard several cards here. Let's cast Tom Scour first. Maybe you can hit a stronger Dredger. No, not actually. Creeping Chill is there. I call it. And now we can discard a Dredger. Let's discard both of them. Do I even keep Harbinger at this point? Or the extra point of damage is more important? I think I would discard Harbinger. And let's attack to deal 5 damage to our opponent and Dredge once more. Because we have so many creatures next turn that we'll probably threaten a lethal here. Yeah, 1 extra Amalgam. This extra Amalgam will enter the battlefield at the end of the opponent's turn, but that's okay. And we have lethal. If my opponent has a top deck like a Soul Guide Lantern, I don't care. If they find a second land and flip Tameo, that's fine. We have lethal anyways, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, we 9, 10 with a Frog. Yeah, we had lethal anyways. Woo. Okay, so Thoughtseize was incredibly good, but now being on the draw, I think I will exchange or discard spell with Force of Negations. Do I still keep Harbingers? Maybe I'll include one extra Frog. Frog was so good in this last matchup. In the last game, I think. I mean, yeah, let's say Harbinger is not doing a great job. Is not doing a great heavy lifting in this league. So let's re-include one Ghoul and one Thumbscour. Or maybe Dark Blasts, since we are playing with only 8 Dredgers instead of 1 Ghoul. 9 Dredgers now. The interesting thing about this deck is that when you include more control elements like Forces, Thought Seizes, Bounce Spells, you don't need to be that fast because you have control. So you can play with less. Let's take Chills entirely. At some point I wanted to do that. Like no Chills. But no, I think this is crazy. Let's include at least 3 Chills. And no Dark Blasts again. Oh, I can include 1. Now let's include our 4th Creeping Chill. Only 8 Dredgers. This is a different concept, guys. If we have a ways to dig for Dredgers and repetitive discard spells like Psychic Frog and Winternight Stories, I'm risking things here. But being on the draw, I don't think I want to risk that much. I'm rambling a lot. Okay, we have 55 seconds. That's alright. This is unfortunately a mulligan. Okay, I think we can keep that. We have 4 enablers and 2 lands. Or maybe 3 lands and 3 enablers. Let's keep... We need to put 1 card back. Let's keep 3 and 3. 3 lands and 3 enablers. This Incanted Stupor can maybe be a spell if we draw another land. My opponent has Mox Ember. And that's it. My opponent kept 7. They should have something. Mishra's Bubble. And that's it. Alright. So they have a stronger turn 2 probably. Oh, Creeping Chill is probably our worst draw. Let's start with Watery Grave. And since we have lands, Thumbscour. My opponent is not threatening us with a counterspell here. Okay. Creeping Chill, Press Amalgam, no Dredgers, guys. Oh, this game will be harder than ever. But okay, right? We are playing with less Dredgers now. But this will be harder because my opponent kept 7. Let's see. My opponent has a turn 2 Urza Saga, as I told you before. Usually players do that. We draw a land. Let's play our Surveil land first. Okay, now we have a Dredger. And Otherworldly Gaze after that. My opponent don't have 3 mana available, so no Metallic Rebuke. Okay, a second Dredger, great. And now we'll pass the turn. Next turn we have Sink into Stupor or Winternight Stories. My opponent's Urza Saga goes up. They play Hallowed Fountain untapped down to 15. And pass the turn. So they will probably create a construct here. We will Dredge. Nothing great. Stories, I believe in you. I believe in you. We have 1 extra land there. Let's tell some stories. Winternight Stories. Now I'm seeing that I'm on character here. I'm telling you stories on a winter night. My opponent will bounce or Winternight Stories. All right. Now what? If my opponent has Crypt and exiles our graveyard, it's not the worst because we have only 1 Amalgam as a threat there. Let's see what my opponent... Maybe my opponent... no, they will definitely grab Thermal's Crypt, right? They're thinking about here. Maybe they feel that we are just playing slow and they have something better to just kill us. No, they have Thermal's Crypt. And they exiled our graveyard immediately. Beautiful, because now we can rebuild it with Winternight Stories. Let's see what we draw. Otherworldly Gaze. Is this better? And then play Sink into Stupor? I think it is. Because if we hit a Dredger here, Winternight Stories can even win us the game. No Dredger. Is Force of Negation good? Cephalic Coliseum is good. I don't think we want that. We want to draw threats. Let's keep Cephalic Coliseum on top. And now I'll play Sink into Stupor, paying 3 life. I mean, I'm playing Soporific Springs. And now I'll cast Winternight Stories. Do you have Force of Negation, opponent? No. Alright. So let's discard 2 cards. 2 Stinkweed Imps. Okay, we have Cephalic Coliseum. We did rebuild our graveyard. And we have Otherworldly Gaze and 5 mana to work with next turn. We can crack Cephalic Coliseum and cast another Winternight Stories easily. My opponent has Emery. My opponent's Emery will recast Thermal's Crypt every turn. So we have only 1 window to win this game now. And the window is now. We cannot wait more than 1 turn. What is my opponent holding in their hand? That's weird. Dredge 5. Narcomoeba there. Okay, we have 1 Amalgam. That's a start. We have 1 Chill in our hand. This is maybe useful next turn. Amalgam triggers from our graveyard. We have 1 Stories there. But Stories will... We need 4 mana to be cast. I think it's better to crack Cephalic Coliseum plus Otherworldly Gaze here. Yeah. Let's crack Cephalic Elysium first. Let's trust our deck. We have only 26 cards in our deck. Okay, Dredge, Dredge, and Dredge. 2 Narcos, 2 goals there. We discard some creatures. Let's keep 1 imp in our hand. I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze here. Please, I believe in you. From Otherworld. Otherworld. No. Now what? We'll have 3 Narcos and 1 Amalgam. We can kill Emery next turn with Dark Blast. But my opponent will have an extra shot with Tormod Script before that. Well, we have only 12 cards in our graveyard, so unfortunately we have 2 goals there. My opponent grabbed Tormod Script, as expected. Okay, now they will cast Dispatch to exile our Amalgam first. Not good. Not good. Now they exile our graveyard. Good play. Well, we have 3 flyers here. And we are on a healthy 15 life. So let's not cast Dark Blast here. Let's cast on our upkeep to kill Emery, right? So we'll target Emery here. Unless my opponent has a counterspell. They might have, because they still have 5 cards in their hand. Maybe those are only Kappa Cannoneers or something, because it is weird that my opponent is not casting a thing. We have Otherworldly Gaze now. We can cast it. Let's attack first. See if my opponent has a response to that. Let's pass a turn and cast Otherworldly Gaze after see what my opponent does. Okay, they have a bubble. This should be their draw for the turn. And nothing else? Okay, let's cast Otherworldly Gaze before the damage. Okay, great. Narcomoeba and Amalgam. Guys, that's so weird, but even after 2 Tormod Script and having that slow start, I feel like we are slightly ahead this game. Is that possible? Because now we'll have 4/7 power in play, and my opponent is down to 12. We can cast the Creeping Chill from our hand. Okay, that's what that weird hand means. My opponent had several dispatches, maybe something else. They don't want to exile Narcomoebas, but our zombies are better targets. But we have 4 power in play. We draw a Prize Amalgam. We can cast it. It feels weird, but I feel like it is better to cast this Liquid Imp as a 1/2 flyer here. Because my opponent can block Amalgams if they have 2 extra artifacts next turn. But it seems like our flyers are getting there. We need 2 extra turns, maybe 1 if our chill resolves next turn. Okay, my opponent needs mana desperately. Another portable hole. Targeting Narcomoeba, of course. Liquid Imp is immune to that artifact. And another dispatch, that makes sense. So my opponent kept a hand full of Swords to Plowshares. But we are getting there. I'll just draw here. Okay, 2 chills in a row. Let's cast our first one. It is good to have 4 lands in play and cast your Creeping Chills. My opponent don't have answers to that. We will attack with I cannot believe, guys. We are winning this. After 2 Tormod Script, Emery, and several... Okay, now my opponent has mana. Now I'm scared. My opponent concedes. We lost game 1, guys. We lost game 1. We kept terrible hands because I'm sleepy. And we won anyways. Let's go to round 4. Alright, round 4. Oh, we have our sweet synergy here again. 2 lands, Frog, Dredger, and Winternight Stories. But we are on the draw now. My opponent plays Polluted Delta and passes. This is another blue-black deck. So we have another Dredger. This is good. Let's start with our basic island here and pass. My opponent has Undercity Silvers. Okay, let's cast Otherworldly Gaze now. My opponent kept the card on top, and that's scary. So Amalgam, Chill, and 1 extra land. Let's keep it on top, why not? 3 lands are better than 2. And we already have Dredgers. My opponent draws, plays Otawara. Okay, this is different. We will draw our land. My opponent seems to be holding a counterspell here. My opponent is representing counterspell. I will not cast Psychic Frog. I don't want to let... Oh no, my opponent is Mill. Okay, that changes everything. Let's crack this Scouting Turn immediately because I don't want to give my opponent 1 more draw step to find Archive Trap. They might have Archive Trap now, but... oh, Mill, huh? Okay, let's pass here. Oh, they do have. But now we have Amalgams coming back and Narcomoeba. I will even cast Otherworldly Gaze here. We have 1 extra Amalgam. Let's see if my opponent needs to win this turn or not. Yeah, if I knew this was Mill, maybe my opponent has a counterspell anyways, right? They could have counterspells in the main deck. But, oh, a second trap. All right. Now it's harder. And no chills. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 power in play. My opponent's down to 14. We need to deal 5 damage. We can have the win here. Oh, Tasha's. Only 7 cards, but Let's see what my opponent did exile here. Yeah, they did find 3 creeping chills, 4 chills, yeah. Can we win before my opponent mills us? Let's just draw. I'll cast Frog, of course. Yeah, casting Frog was the better choice in the previous turn. I'll play Water Grave. Tapped. We have the win next turn, but my opponent probably has a win now. Jace, my opponent, okay, yeah, my opponent can minus 3 here to mill us for exactly 9 cards. Oh, that's bad, and we don't have a single Creeping Chill anymore, because my opponent Stasha's Laughter exiled all of our remaining chills. Okay, this is mill, guys. We lost. My opponent did mill us. Against mill, this is interesting. I will include 15 cards in our deck and just submit. And I will keep any hand with 2 lands if I get one of those, because I will not even cast Thumbscour or Winternight Stories. My opponent will do the job. I just want to make that difficult to our opponent. And if we can cast from our hand Amalgams, Thoughtseizes, Psychic Frogs, maybe Harbinger here, this would be interesting. And now we even have Force of Negation. This is the opposite of other... Now that I'm seeing that we can actually cast our entire sideboard. We can cast all of our 15 extra cards. Because sometimes playing other Dredge builds, we have some cards like Leyline of the Void, Leyline of Sanctity, cards that you cannot cast in your deck because you don't have enough mana to do that or the right color. But we can cast our entire deck here. But let's see if our 19 mana sources will be enough for 75 cards. Yes, I want to die row. I would like to play first. Okay, guys, this is exactly what I told you, right? We have a Force of Negation, we have 2 lands and Psychic Frog. And if we draw extra lands, we can cast Prized Amalgams and Ghouls. So this is okay. Let's crack this before my opponent draws extra cards, right? If they have Archive Trap, they will do it now. But sometimes they don't. Okay, we'll Surveil. We'll keep Prized Amalgam on top. We'll probably keep everything on top here. Unless we are responding with Surveil. Okay, just a Ring Crab. If we are responding to some triggers. Okay, Psychic Frog is in play. Ribbit. And let's see if this is enough. A second Crab, that's scary. And a Surveil land for now. Okay, we will get 6 cards milled. 1 chill. Down to 63 cards in our deck. Down to 60. We have a Ghoul there. But Ghouls will not trigger on my opponent's turn. My opponent kept 1 card on top. Now we'll draw. I will not dredge, of course. Okay, land is beautiful. It's everything we wanted. 3 lands on turn 3, even with 75 cards and Force of Negation and creatures. That's amazing. I think I will attack here and allow my opponent to block. I don't think they will. Yeah. Now I will discard 1 Ghoul and 1 Amalgam, because I intend to cast the second. My opponent is down to 14. I will draw 1 extra card. Otherworldly Gaze is actually good. It's 1 extra blue spell if I want to cast Narcomoeba and then have a Force of Negation active. Let's cast a Prized Amalgam. It's a 3/3, so it can attack through crabs. My opponent plays the Shelldock Island. So okay, we'll have a Creeping Chill, a free Creeping Chill there. I would like to see a free Narcomoeba, so we'll have 2 extra Prized Amalgams. It seems my opponent kept a hand with crabs, but no surgicals, no graveyard hate. We will draw another Narco. Now things are getting scary to my opponent, so I will give Fly to my Psychic Frog, the Flying Frog. And let's attack with both creatures. Let's see if my opponent wants to Chump Block or Zombie. And I can maybe discard 1 Narco here, just to give my frog 1 extra power. Let's see if they will block first. No blocks, alright. Let's discard Narcomoeba. You know what? Let's discard Otherworldly Gaze too, because we can cast Gazes from our graveyard anyways. I will not... Okay, Synced Stupor is a good draw. I could try to be lucky here and hit 1 Creeping Chill to win on the moment. But remember, my opponent will do the job for us. This is the important thing to remember when playing against this deck. And if my opponent has some... Okay, my opponent concedes. Oof. And we still had 45 cards in our deck. So this was easier than game 1. No changes. I think our deck is good to go against our opponent. I think we did the right sideboarding here. We have the right cards against my opponent's plan. We definitely do. Frog is an interesting card because sometimes my opponent has Fatal Push and it seems like not the best. This seems almost good, but I'd like to be lucky here and maybe get to 2 lands. Okay, this is so much better. We don't have black to cast Psychic Frog, not yet. Yeah, this is even better. Now we have many lands and even Harbinger. I'll keep lands and Harbinger of the Seas. Lands and a dream. Can we cast Harbinger? We have lands to cast anything that we draw. Oh, Force of Negation is good. Okay, so far Harbinger is just a blue card to be pitched. But I would like to cast Harbinger because my opponent has black-blue cards. Maybe Murderous Cut. Interesting. So maybe Harbinger is good against my opponent. Let's crack this on my opponent's turn for Undercity Sewers. Just because it's a tapped land, but Narcomoeba. I'll keep Narcomoeba on top. I don't mind, because I feel my opponent will mill us anyways. No? Oh, are you telling me that I'll draw a Narcomoeba? I don't mind, because I have a Force of Negation. Oh, my opponent will cycle that. We'll have a free Narco anyways. And now we'll draw. Dark Blast. And my opponent... Dark Blast has some applications if my opponent has the other crab with 2 Thoughtness instead of 3. So let's grab here a tapped land. It seems my opponent didn't have Archive Trap last turn. And they don't have Archive Trap either here. Okay, we did draw a threat. Prize Amalgam is good. Now we attack with Narcomoeba. My opponent has a basic Swamp, so maybe Harbinger is not as its best again. But we can cast Prize Amalgam instead. And if my opponent has a counterspell, it seems they are holding something. It's okay to have an Amalgam in our graveyard, because at some point we can have it back. Okay, my opponent is... Okay, drawn in the lock. So Amalgam in our graveyard. And now they crack Polluted Delta. We have just a sad Narcomoeba in play. Water Grave tapped. Wiser choice. My opponent kept a hand with lands, drawing the lock, and Fracture Sanity. They should have more than that. They will just pass. Maybe they have Surgicals? Okay, Winternight Stories. I don't want that card. So now maybe it's finally the time to cast Harbinger. And hold Force of Negation. Or... No, I will not cast Winternight Stories. Can you imagine me casting Winternight Stories, my opponent letting that resolve, and then we lose the game by 3 cards? No, thank you. Let's do the better proposition here. Okay, Harbinger resolves. Oh no. Okay, just another Sanity. That's okay. Now my opponent's lands are islands, so they have only 1 black mana available. If they have another Murderous Cut, they can kill Harbinger here. Oh, Extirpate. No Surgicals. Extirpate are good because we have forces, and now my opponent knows about them. They know that we have a Force of Negation in our hand, I mean. So no Prized Amalgam for us. We have 3 power in play. It's important to notice that we don't have black mana now, so maybe casting Harbinger will backswing. Maybe. My opponent has a crab. Okay. At least their fetch lands will not hit us. Oh, they don't have another land. This is the 0-2 crab that I was talking about. They have a 3rd Sanity. Alright. Now we have a Creeping Chill. My opponent is down to 13. Oh, can we top deck our basic swamp? No, because the basic swamp is in our graveyard. Alright, Psychic Frog. Good thing. We can attack with our 2-2 because my opponent's crab is a 0-2. So it hits. My opponent is down to 10. We can cast Otherworldly Gaze with Flashback. Now my opponent has a wall. Oh, my opponent's Field of Ruin will not have any ability. It's just another island. So that's good. That's good. They can't make us search our deck. So Archive Traps are out of the table. Let's go to our end step and cast Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, do I keep Consign to Memory? I know that my opponent will just force me to mill more cards, like. So maybe I just keep everything on top, Consign on top, and if they don't have mill effect now, I will draw Consign to Memory. I would like to have that card just as an insurance. Yeah, I have Consign to Memory now. Okay, let's keep attacking here. Let's see if my opponent wants to block or not. Yeah, they'll see it coming. That's okay. Oh, another Extirpate. Now on Dark Blast, but we don't have black mana available. But I understand, my opponent wants to be sure. But they knew about that, right? Maybe they can remove Harbinger somehow. And if they have a second draw in the lock, for example, to free black mana. And this is an insurance, so we'll never remove crabs from the table. It seems something like that. But now we have a frog, so my opponent plays a fetch land. Guys, my opponent is down to 6. We still have 36 cards in our deck. Now our creatures have flying. We have 4 power in play. So even against 2 Extirpates that my opponent probably was holding this whole time, and 2 crabs, we didn't need to cast Force of Negation. We have a Consign to Memory here. My opponent's tapped mana and untapped. Yeah, they know that we have a Force of Negation, right? Okay, they will not cast anything. So Force of Negation is useful just as a threat. We will draw a second Harbinger. A 2-2 flyer. For 3 mana. This is a draft deck or what? Let's attack my opponent. And dealing 4 damage. My opponent's down to 2. Who needs black mana, right? When you have Harbinger of the Seas. Actually doing some heavy lifting here on this game. It seems just a little thing, but my opponent would have at least 3 more triggers from each crab here and maybe an Archive Trap in their hand. Okay, Jace, I will just cast the Force of Negation here and say no, exiling Psychic Frog. We have lethal. Ah, we won that! We won that! We won against Mill. With 35 cards in our deck, our plan worked beautifully. Final round, playing for a trophy. I cannot believe it. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I never play that late. And we'll keep this. We have 2 gazes. We are on the draw. We are on the play. Maybe I should have mulligan this hand again. But I need some sleep. I need some sleep. But we are getting there somehow. Cephalic Coliseum, go. And since we really want a second land, I will cast this Otherworldly Gaze on my opponent's upkeep. Okay, lands and Narcomoeba. Sorry. Let's keep just a second Cephalic Coliseum on top. Now my opponent knows what's our nonsense is about. The next turn we have Cephalic Coliseum, Tomscour plus Otherworldly Gaze. Oh, Guardian of Freyalise. This is a combo deck. Springleaf Drum. Oh, I see. This is probably a Neoform deck. So, okay, we have better tools to fight this deck after sideboarding. My opponent kept 7. My opponent had a mulligan to 6. Okay, we have a chill goal. That's okay. This was a mistake. I should play Cephalic Coliseum before casting Tomscour. Now, Otherworldly Gaze, another Amalgam. Yeah, this was a mistake. But my opponent kept 6 cards, so do I keep Watergrave? Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm not sure if the sounds of my mouth are getting into the microphone, but I'm so tired. But I'm so happy to do this so far for all against my opponent. Against every opponent, I mean. We probably have lethal next turn. 2 gazes and 1 Tomscour plus 1 Cephalic Coliseum activation. This is probably lethal. We'll have 10 power in play. Oh yeah, my opponent will combo here. Allosaurus Rider. Eldritch Evolution. We have no answers. This will be a GriselBrand. Oh, my opponent will activate GriselBrand, and if they can't find something to keep going, a single Creeping Chill can win this game. So let's not give up. We still have 3 Creeping Chills in our deck. My opponent is thinking... Oh, Endurance. Endurance in the main deck, and our trophy dream with our Blue Dredge rogue deck is over. Maybe. Yeah, we had a Creeping Chill on top. We had the win on top, but my opponent had an Endurance. How many Endurances they have in the main deck? Since they can search for Endurances with Neoform and Eldritch Evolution, probably not many. Okay, guys, let's sideboard against Neoform. We definitely want Force of Negation, but what else? This is probably a super hard control matchup from our perspective. Since we have so many control elements, we probably should include all of them. Forces, Harbingers. I don't think Stern Dismissals are impressive against this deck. We don't want to bounce a GriselBrand. Consign to Memory. 13 cards in the deck. Can we include 13 cards in the deck? Can we do this magic happen? Can we do some magic here, including 13 cards in the deck? This is almost a sideboard different plan, like a sideboard transformational plan. This feels a lot like a sideboard transformational plan. Of course, we are still a Dredge deck, but I will dilute our strategy to include the maximum control elements against Neoform. I feel like I never won against Neoform in my entire life playing Dredge. It is probably something like 15 matches, 15 losses, or maybe 14 or 13 losses. This is a terrible matchup for us when our opponent is comboing on turn 2. Is this too crazy to not have any Creeping Chill in our deck? Yeah, guys. Let's try this craziness here. We lost game 1, so it is always for the science, right? Let's try this nonsense, including 13 cards into our deck, and now we have no Creeping Chills, no goals. No goals. And this is a keep? Just Consign to Memory? No black mana? Let's keep and hope for a black mana with Otherworldly Gaze or maybe something better than that. It's interesting because we have a Consign to Memory and Otherworldly Gaze, so Consign to Memory is not as its best here. But again, my opponent is going to 5. I don't know if my opponent has something against us. For example, if they start with a weird card like a Spellbomb, we at least have an answer. And Consigns can always answer some of my opponent's triggers, like an Endurance, for example. Or even What else my opponent might have that triggers? Especially Endurance. So Cephalic Elysium, go. I'm not expecting counters from my opponent, so I don't need to rush this Otherworldly Gaze. Let's see what my opponent has first. Misty? Okay, on my opponent's second main step, let's cast Otherworldly Gaze. I don't think my opponent has much here. A second Consign to Memory? I don't think we want any of those cards. Do I keep it? No. We want more lands, we want black mana, one more enablers, we want to put some treasures in our graveyard, and we want Thought Seize and Force of Negation. We don't want those cards. They can be useful. Okay, black mana. My opponent had a mulligan to 5 and started with just a fetch land, so let's believe. Let's believe our Psychic Frog can live for a turn, and my opponent will not combo on turn 2. Because I gotta have faith. And now my opponent cracks Misty for a Hedge Maze. And my opponent doesn't want Nourishing Shoal. They have Springy Leaf Drum. Mana. Tapped. Ooh. Okay, guys, we are good for one extra turn. This is our moment. I'll discard our Dredger, and I'll Dredge. Okay, Nakomoiba triggers. I don't think I will crack Cephalic Elysium here. In this situation, it's probably better to keep Cephalic Elysium as a way to draw 3 at instant speed and maybe find our Force of Negation that we still don't have. So let's discard Nakomoiba here. It doesn't seem my opponent has Endurance. I'll cast Stories. Let's do our small combo here. So I'll pay 1 mana, and I'll draw 3. Thought Seize is good, but we don't have black mana yet. Let's draw again. Okay, unfortunately no forces. I'll discard 1 Arco, and I'll cast Cephalic Elysium. I'm trying to act as a control player here, drawing cards instead of attacking, because I know that I can hit my opponent dealing 4 damage, drawing 1 card, and my opponent can win the game. So now we can crack Cephalic Elysium at instant speed, trying to hit Force of Negation if needed. My opponent is tapping for green mana. No, Preordain, alright. Preordain is fine. I mean, it's not fine because my opponent can find what they need. 2 cards on the bottom. Good sign. Good sign. Do I care? Do I care? My opponent doesn't have creatures. I think I don't care. And my opponent is passing the turn. So at the end of my opponent's turn, I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze. I feel like I'm playing against Oops of Spells or something, because this is something that I do. Oh, Harbinger. Harbinger is super tempting here. My opponent doesn't have basic forests. So let's keep the Sink into Stupor here because it can bounce a spell. And we have lethal in 4 turns. No Thought Seize, just Harbinger. I believe in you. Or Merfolk Wizard, a friend of Dredge. Never thought I was going to say that. Okay, let's attack. We are dealing... Do I discard Thought Seize? Yes, because we don't have black mana anymore. I think I will discard Tom's Cover too. Dealing 7 damage to my opponent. Maybe this makes a difference next turn. It will be probably harder to my opponent to combo with Neoform or Eldritch Evolution without green mana. You know what? Let's discard Consign to Memory. At this point, I don't think my opponent has Endurance. We have Sink into Stupor on top of our deck. And I think this is what we... You know what? I don't think we need even that. Because we have lethal next turn, why I would keep something on top, right? I don't think my opponent can deal with what we are doing here. 2 cards on the bottom, and we won. But in retrospect, I think maybe I should have kept that bounce on top. I'm just tired. But I think maybe it would be better to have it instead of dredging, because I don't have Creeping Chills anymore. So what do I want, right? If I don't have Creeping Chills, I don't want to maximize my dredging if I already have lethal on board for next turn. So think, Mahfuz, think. Does this make a sound? Think with your brain. Now what? My opponent chooses to play first, and we have an interesting hand. This hand is so reactive, but I will keep it. Because now we have a Force of Negation. My opponent kept 7 cards, guys. And we have a Consign, we have a Harbinger, we need lands. So land? Land, yeah. Let's play Cephalic Elysium. Because if I play Watergrave and tapped, my opponent will immediately know what's going on. That I might have, I don't know, Fluster or something like that. And Cephalic Elysium is a disguised land. My opponent has a Surveil land. And if you are used to play Dredge in Modern or in other formats, this seems an incredibly weird hand to keep, right? Okay, my opponent is slow. He's playing slow. Like, I have 0 enablers in my starting hand. I have Dredgers, but I had only 1 mana. Now I have 3 mana. So this Harbinger is a reality next turn. And then we can even cast Prized Amalgam and Stink with Imp and just win like a sealed deck from the past. Come on, come on. Force of Negation, Consign to Memory, and Harbinger. Can you win this game for me? My opponent has a Misty. Do they have a basic forest? They do have a basic forest. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Allosaurus Rider, alright. It's a 4/4. My opponent exiled 2 cards to cast it. So 4 cards now, and I have a Force of Negation with a blue peach. I will exile my Amalgam, because Consign to Memory maybe has something to say in the future. Okay, now my opponent has only 2 cards in their hand, so we have a couple of turns to rebuild our thing. I could cast Prize Amalgam here and have 1 extra creature, but I will not give a chance, guys, because Eldritch Evolution needs 2 green mana. My opponent can still cast Neoform, but at least I'm protecting me from Eldritch Evolution. Another land. Let's attack. We need 9 turns. This is our clock now. Not the best chances, but let's see. We have a Consign to Memory. We can replicate here if this is good. If my opponent plays that artifact, I think I will counter. Oh, a Force of Negation. Yes, yes. Now I feel protected. I can pitch Prize Amalgam to force, and I also have a Consign to Memory to some random artifact. If my opponent has Endurance in their hand, they cannot cast it for the right amount of mana. Can you imagine I winning in this matchup with Forces and Harbingers on games 2 and 3? That would be a dream. A dream. A dream. Oh, my opponent has Allosaurus Rider. Okay, we have a Force of Negation here. Let's see if they have something else. No, okay. Just a 4/4. But now we cannot attack. Oh, maybe you can attack. Maybe you can attack. This represents only 2 more damage, right? But my opponent will need to exile 2 more green cards to cast this Allosaurus again. And they choose Summoner Spect. I could hold this, but my opponent will start to attack me. Now what? No, let's use it immediately, I think. Let's cast Sink into Stupor here. Now I can attack again. And if my opponent recast Rider, it's okay. They will probably not combo soon because they will need 2 extra cards to do that. Okay, no casting now. We have a second Force of Negation that's incredibly lucky. Not lucky, right? Because we have in our deck, we have forces to do that, but we managed to hit 3 forces on the top 14 cards of the deck. So I know, that's luck. That's luck. Let's see if we need those forces. So far, we don't need. We needed the first one. Blue Peach is good. We can cast Otherworldly Gaze here. And maybe find something. We already have Blue Peaches to 2 forces here. So let's attack first and pass. Let's see what's going on first. My opponent is down to 8. Slowly but surely our Merfolk Wizard is getting there. So let's cast Otherworldly Gaze here. This is an amazing card in this situation. Okay, Narco and Thug. Do I keep Tom Scour on top? No. We already have a Dredger. And I would keep more counterspells or something on top. We don't need lands. Those are just more islands. I would keep a basic swamp on top. Dredge 4. Alright, let's attack. Dealing 3 damage to my opponent. They will go down to 5. We have 2 Force of Negation. Oh, Wonder would be good, right? But I think we don't have Wonder anymore. Because if my opponent plays an Allosaurus Rider, I think I sided out, right? So, yeah. So our creatures would just fly. If my opponent casts a Rider now, they probably cannot attack because we can win in 2 turns attacking with Harbinger. That's an interesting feeling. I can smell it, guys. I think we will win this. We have Consign to Memory in 2 forces. I can smell the win. Okay, my opponent has a Rider. But this is just a blocker. My opponent exiled 2 lands, 2 green lands. It's a 4/4, no flying. We can still attack with Necromoeba. My opponent will probably hold Allosaurus Rider as a blocker. And I have 2 forces. Let's Dredge. Let's attack. I almost attacked with Harbinger of the Seas here. Let's attack with Narcomoeba. It's almost 2:30 in the morning. Come on, I can feel us winning this. Let's discard Prize Amalgam here. Maybe Prize Amalgam can enter the battlefield if we mill a Narcomoeba. My opponent has Zura Orb. It's an artifact. Let's counter it. I don't want to give my opponent more life. No, thank you. No Zura Orb for you. So yeah, Consign to Memory, good against this deck. Now Dredge 5. Okay, 1 extra Narco. We will have 2 Prized Amalgams. I don't think my opponent has Endurance. We don't have Consign to Memory anymore, but... Come on. Let's attack with Narcomoeba. 2 more turns to win this. No, 1 more turn because we'll have Prized Amalgams. I can feel it. It's coming. It's coming for us. My first win ever against Neoform. I think I remember winning once, but my opponent had a Mana Screw or something like that. Okay, we won. This wasn't in my dreams for tonight, but we actually won a trophy with Blue Dredge in Modern. Maybe this is the next great Dredge deck in Modern. What do you think? I have no words. Oh, I have words. I have some words. Let's talk a little bit about our deck before I get some sleep. So guys, let's talk a little bit about our deck. First things first. Of course, we are happy and everything, but I don't think this first build of Blue Dredge will be the better Blue Dredge in Modern. There are probably something here to be improved, some things to be improved. One of them is probably Stern Dismissal. I had no good opportunities to include this card. Of course, against Leyliner's Void, an extra bounce spell is good, but maybe it isn't Stern Dismissal. Maybe we can have a better card here instead of those two. I don't know. I'll think about it. Thoughtseize is a great card in our sideboard. We won some games because of it, but I also feel that probably almost every time I want to take a card that costs 3 or less from my opponent's hand. So maybe we can change this for Inquisition of Kozilek and save some precious points of life in our deck. What else? Consign to Memory had some opportunities in our last round. Harbinger of the Seas, I was having some second thoughts about this because at first it seems so interesting in a deck like ours, for me at least. But against my combo opponent on the last round, this card really shined. We won, backed up by this and by Force of Negation. Before this league, I thought about Force of Negation, but also Flare of Denial. But I think a Flare of Denial deck would need more blue creatures, not only 3 frogs and 4 amalgams and 4 Necromoebas. Maybe we could play a second build of this Blue Dredge with crabs instead of maybe Tom Scour, maybe 2 Winternight Stories instead of 3, maybe, I don't know. Let's see. We have some opportunities. I had my first win tonight without Creeping Chill when we included more control elements, which makes me think that maybe there is a build without the chill package and with more control elements, like a blue-black control deck in Modern. Maybe could even play some Fatal Pushes in the main deck, who knows? Controlling more control in the board to win slowly but surely with our amalgams, Psychic Frogs, and maybe something else. I don't know. Or maybe we can just include more control elements to our sideboard instead of Stern Dismissals. I need to get some sleep, but I was so happy to finally test Winternight Stories in a Dredge deck because it was a beautiful thing to cast it on turn 3 for just a single blue mana, tapping a giant Psychic Frog, for example, and arranging, is that correct? To putting everything together to win on the next turn, I mean. We had no easy matchups. I felt like we lost the first game to Mill, we lost the first game to Neoform, we lost our first game to our third opponent, but we managed to win games 2 and 3 after sideboarding, which is something. This is definitely something that can attest the power of a sideboard dedicated to control. We won 3 matches in a row, 2-1, after losing our first game and then winning on games 2 and 3. And this is something important. Wonder felt good in this deck. And yeah, and we had a wrong mana base. Now that I'm seeing that again, this wasn't important the majority of the time because we usually want Watergrave or Undercity Sewers. But I will post, when I post this video on YouTube, I will include on the video description a link to the corrected build with the right mana base. So if you click there, go there, check out my links to Moxfield, to Patreon, and to social media. Guys, I had a blast playing this, and now I will get some rest. Click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Every comment counts. And please, be a subscriber. See you soon. Bye.